retreating. We need to bring love back again. Stop and listen for the sign of the times. Pay attention, don't you hear the cry? It's a brand new day, it's good to be alive. You have survived, ain't it good to be alive?
Good morning. Welcome, 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 everyone. I am Senabella, and you have arrived at coffee break time. I love it. My cup says imagine. So I imagine myself and where it is that I'd like to be transported to if I'm not there already. And today I am all right and ready to be here with you. Welcome to the Coffee Break with Senabella. It is always my extreme joy and pleasure to have you here with me. It is a Friday morning. It is 7 a.m., if not a little after, and you're here with me. So make sure you chime in today. Tell me how you're doing. And remember, coffee breakers, if you inbox me, I'm going to take your email. I'm going to receive your email. I'm going to send you a copy of the show's song, Good to Be Alive. You get a full copy for free from me. It's my way of saying thank you. And I want you to learn that music and that song. And I want you to start singing it, just like I'm about to go right into my Wake Up Feeling Beautiful song, because I want us to be inspired. I want us to know this universe has been created and we are the unique entity within it. And so we have to deliver that which it needs in order to continue to feed itself while we're fed by it. So I want to wake up feeling beautiful. 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 I'm beautiful. I want to wake up with the joy in my heart and love in my eyes. I want to wake up feeling beautiful. I want to wake up feeling beautiful. 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 So I hope you feel beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Learn to take it, receive it, and let it all flow within and without you, and let it walk in your footsteps. And when something is hurting, just say, I'm feeling beautiful. And start transitioning to the beautiful, best part of who you are. Yes, yes, yes. This is Coffee Break. I'm right here with you. And I'm going to take a moment and do a station break before we get started. But I'm going to come back to you today with Debra Davis, a dynamic new guest who's coming in that I've learned about by just being on the internet, only to find out things that you'll come to know today. So we'll be right back.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Now, don't you find it interesting as to how you may come to know people that you have always known but didn't know? Good morning, my love, Natalie Vaughn Matthews, my dear sweet cousin, Miss Flight Attendant to the flight attendant. She is that chick. Oh my God, love her. Oh, Sherry Lynn, good morning. Senabella Gill and Coffee Breakers, send me that email. Started listening to your lyrics with meaning. Your voice is rich and Cherie, thank you. Had a great time with Cherie at the showing, but I don't want to digress too much, because I want to say today that being our authentic selves are what we think of ourselves every single day. And yesterday I was having a conversation with a very dear, sweet friend of mine. And he was saying to me, Senabella, you know, I recognize that when you're in the space, you transform into this whole other person. And then when you leave, you still become the person that was in the room. You're still the person in the room, but you become a whole nother part of you. He said, do you call that like different personalities? I said, yeah. I'm a switch for every room. But one thing is going to be stable about me, and that is the authentic person that thrives within the being, the context, the soul of me is always going to be the same. I'm going to be seeking out the same things, doing the same kinds of things that help to multiply and to diversify and to quantify the person that I am. And so I'm all into this whole thing about living and growing and forgiving and giving and all of that. But at the same time, I'm also about the peace and taking time and pulling myself away just to be me. So if you agree, tap and agree. And if you don't agree, then maybe you might think of it and you can offer me some of the things that you do. So you can go ahead and just put that in. Tell me what's up with you, who you are, what you want, and some of the things you might be interested in hearing in topics on this show that speak to you. I want to make sure that my service is providing something that is equal across the stage, if it can be, for everyone. All right. So today's guest is Debra Davis. She is a publicist. No, she's a publisher. She's a fashion designer. Let me put it down. She is an interior designer. She's a licensed realtor. And she's a retired flight attendant. How about that, Natalie? You got some of your contemporaries in the house. You might even know each other. I'm not sure. But she has such a wonderful personality. And one of the things that I've learned about her since I met her through the internet, I ended up finding out we had friends that were similar on the outside of this here world that we exist in. That's the great thing about being on the internet. People always talk about, oh, it's too messy. But I have found it to be a gathering place. I have found it to be a place where I can solidify myself as an individual, or I can sort myself out and then go back in the room and become part of a group. And I love that. And so Deb Davis, she represents that. In fact, Natalie, you probably attest to it. Every time I get on the internet, I see my family, and I love that. I love that I'm in the room with people who are of my own bloodline, that my mother and father's line is rich and it's heavy, and we get to see each other. So without delay, let me bring into the room the beautiful and the wonderful sister, Deb Davis. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Senabella. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am great and getting better, I like to say.
Good.
And when I say that, people say, "You've been sick?" No, I just feel like we get better every day if we work towards it.
That's right. I've seen you always have design your life. Where'd you
Yes.
get that phrase?
Well, I'm a designer, and I've been designing since I was a child. My mom was a seamstress, and I kind of cut my teeth on fashion. I was making doll clothes. I was making throw pillows for my bed when I was 12, 13 years old. And so I was I was doing exactly what I do right now. And my brand is Design Your Life. It's been that for over 20 years with a tagline. It's all about lifestyle. And what that means is it doesn't have to mean it's a designer lifestyle, the lifestyle you desire to create for yourself. I believe we all can design our own beautiful lives. Mm-hmm. And I help facilitate that with my clients.
I like that. I like that. So you knew early on that you had a thing because of your mom and what she was doing. You were so highly interested in that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
that's where you sparked from.
I would say she cultivated that gift. It's a natural gift. I shared some gifts with her, but I am my own person. And so the things that I found interest in, they were able to be nurtured in that environment with a mom that was a fashionista before the word was coined. Mm. And, you know, she was from the era when women matched their hats and gloves and handbags and shoes. And so I grew up in that environment, and she kept a beautiful home. And so it just was a natural thing to me to make everything around me beautiful, because that's how I grew up. And I encourage people to, whatever that looks like for them, there is no set way that it has to be that you have to dress. But whatever makes your heart sing or speaks to you. And often clients come to me. I do lifestyle consulting, image, and interior, like refresh. I don't do a deep dive like knocking out walls, but I'll do a refresh for my client's interior. As a matter of fact, I am offering that. If I could do a little plug, I'm doing a refresh for my clients this spring. It's a spring refresh. If anyone's interested, they can reach out to you and you can share my information. But yeah, I just believe in making things around you beautiful, whatever that speaks to you, your art, your music, your books, the things you love, house plants, or surround yourself with those things.
Well, I find that in the things that I love, which I love all of the things that you say, but I don't dab in all of those things. I may do it myself only, but use it as an execution or a plan to go into other homes and do that. But I do have family members such as my daughter and my kids, right? I'll do refreshes with them or find things that I put into their houses. But one of the things that I love about it is that it's like a personal stamp of saying, I have come here, I've visited, and because you and I both agree, here's something that I leave with you, you know, and it makes you feel good. But if it makes them feel better, that's even greater. You know, find interior designers to be something really phenomenal because it's such a science to it, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I'm working with a close friend now, doing a refresh for her space. And I don't know if she tuned in. I posted on my page, but she loves to sail. She loves the water. And so when I went to her space, when I did the on-site visit, I said, let's do shades of blue and a coastal theme. Yeah, I said, because of your love, number one, blue is one of her favorite colors, and your love of the water and sailing, you know, so I make it personal to the people that I work with because everybody has different gifts. And as I said, that's a gift of mine. I've been cultivating since I was a child. It comes natural to me. And she has gifts that are natural to her, but designing was not her strong suit. So when I went in, I said, you don't need a deep dive. Your place is beautiful. We're just going to refresh and make it express your, you know, your interests, your desires, your passions.
I like that, the refresh, instead of having to think about this huge budget to go in and change it to a refresh.
Right.
I like using that word. I kind of refresh with pillows and
rugs. Exactly.
Yeah. I take a deep dive and clean it up.
Deep dive. Yeah, because it's not pretty if it's not clean. It's got to be clean. So we can't skip the cleaning and start decorating.
Right. And while I enjoyed having others to clean my house, let me just be really clear. It is what I do for my when I'm thinking about something really hard, I have to make really tough decisions. I will tear my whole house up and over a weekend, just clean everything up and have the answers I need in my head. And I'll sit down and just start writing everything down. I find that space when I'm reorganizing, situating things, putting things back in place, looking at things from a new, refreshed, you know, eye, then I find myself having the space to complete things that are in my head that I haven't finished. That have nothing to do with designing or anything like that.
I can see how that would be cathartic for you because when you clear your space, you clear your mind. If you've got clutter all around you, then it will, you know, kind of make your life and your thinking and your movement chaotic. But that clear, you know, you clear your space and you're focused on getting everything just the way you like it, probably only as you can do. I have a young woman that comes in twice a week, which I love her, and I can delegate some things to her. But sometimes I'm going behind her doing it myself or saying, let's try it this way.
Wow.
So, yeah, we know how we like our space.
Well, one thing that I just want to kind of put this in here, add this real quick. You have such style, and I really love this shot of you. And it's interesting. It's texture. It's a lot of texture in it. It's a lot of color and vibrant. And you say you love Paris, and I can see it right here.
Thank you.
Yes, the Eiffel Tower thing, even though it's not in it. When I see this, it gets a great sense of all those things that you've shared with me. So go ahead and talk about you and color and design and some of your earlier penchants that I've seen on stage. I have seen and don't have it today to share. I wish I did. You had a video you shared with me, but I couldn't upload it. And at the end of the day, I want to say that what I was excited about in the video is that I saw you on stage doing fashion shows and having your clothes showing. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because you are quite the fashionista.
Well, as I said, early on, I found that passion and started to cultivate it. I made my first dress in home economics. I was in 8th grade. And my teacher gave me excellent, she said, for your first dress, this is excellent. And so it was just something that came natural to me, and I pursued it. When I went to high school, I went to Dunbar Vocational High School. I'm a Bronzeville girl as well. So I raised in Bronzeville. And Bronzeville, so much creativity. We were surrounded by creativity. We lived in walking distance of the original Regal Theater. I got to go see the whole Motown Review with my older siblings who were teenagers when I was a child, but they had to keep up with me. And so to go and see the whole Motown Review, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, all of them. And you know how they presented themselves. And we got to see that up close and personal. I know I did as a child. And my sister, who's 7 years older than me, she was a teenager. Let's say she was 17, 18. I was only 10 or 11 years old, going to see that whole Motown Review and them singing and performing and dressed so beautifully. And so I was raised by that creativity. Again, in Bronzeville, we were walking distance from Lake Michigan, and we'd walk over to 31st Street Beach. And we didn't even realize, at least I'm going to say, I didn't realize as a child what we had there in Bronzeville. Even though there was a lot of segregation and that kind of thing going on, we had a vibrant neighborhood. There were Black-owned businesses, and I was surrounded by Black creativity, not only in my home with my mom being a seamstress and sewing for family and relatives and neighbors, but our extended neighborhood. You know what I mean? Mm. And so that just cultivated that gift. And when I went to high school, I did sign up for dressmaking to continue to pursue. I didn't know exactly that I was going to be a fashion designer because I didn't know as a child about fashion designers. I knew I was making doll clothes and all of that. But as I learned that was a career.
Yeah, but you were dreaming about it. You might not have known about fashion designers, but you were clear that you were going to be one.
Yes.
Right. And then you said earlier that the word fashionista became popular, but someone said it, you heard it in your household, the word fashionista?
I said before the word was even coined. I had never heard fashionista as a child, but my mom was a fashionista. Yeah. She was from that era where she matched her handbag with her hat, and she wore the gloves and the shoes and all of that. And on Sunday morning, come Sunday, as Duke Ellington would say, come Sunday, we get in our finest. It was a fashion show. The church aisle was a runway.
You know what? That. It was a little different. I went to Catholic school, so
okay.
It was a little different. The parade was different. We didn't see the same way that Christians, the Baptist churches, with the Catholicism is Christianity as well. But at the end of the day, it was just a little different. It was a little stiff, it wasn't the same kind of, say, elegance.
Okay.
It was wildly expressive in a very artistic way, but it was very quiet in its own way. So it wasn't until later that I would see the things that you spoke of, but I did see through my own grandmother the whole gloves and bags and silk stockings and full worsted wool coats and orange, of brown. And I'm named after her. So one of the things that happened to me, if you don't mind my adding this, but when I began to have to, deal with this title that I was given, the Bronzeville Diva, that is when my grandmother's dress became something very important to me, because I began to sort of spiritually, bring her back to life through how I dressed. I wanted to meet that criteria, if you want, that standard of all of those women back in the day who were dressing so absolutely awesome. And that was a high bar to meet.
That was your legacy. I mean, you stepped into that legacy because that name, you wearing that name, and I'm sure your grandmother was a queen, and so you had been passed the baton, so to speak, and you got to wear that crown. I think it was James Baldwin who said, our crown has already been paid for. All we got to do is wear it. And our ancestors paved the way despite challenges and, obstacles that we know they had to overcome, that still had that elegance and that style.
Yes. I was just going through Bronzeville about a week ago, and I saw my dad's home where he lived, and he retired and moved back to Arkansas, sitting right across the street from the park, which is now a walking path at 39th and Cottage, where I was born.
Oh, wow.
Holy Angels down the street in Carruthers Center, where I did my first big productions of Bronzeville Diva when I first started. So I began to see the structure of my life. And the importance of what Bronzeville provided for me. And I thought about our ancestors and everyone. And I thought to myself, it has become what they prayed and what they hoped it would become.
Yes.
A place for middle class, upper class people, a place where all people really could live and continue to work together and live together. So when you see that, and when you see that, then what you do is you begin to realize this is a place that we were aspiring to become something.
Yes.
So you were living there, aspiring to become what it is that you would become, seeing it in your mother's work. Now, tell me a little bit more about your mother's work as a designer.
My mom, I come from a long line of creatives. My grandfather, her dad, was a carpenter. They called him a carpenter, but he would do his own blueprints. I call him an architect. They didn't give him that title back there in the South. My mom is from Tunica, Mississippi, and Grandpapa Joe was there, and he was building a lot of the little shops in downtown Tunica. And so he was a creative because he was building. He was a builder, and he and his brothers had a construction company for many years, successful construction company. And so Mom was not afraid to. She would strip the furniture and repaint it, and she'd make drapes. So she wasn't limited to just making clothes. She was an interior designer too, I could say, but she never called herself that. She'd just make things. And so I was not afraid to get down and dirty to make things pretty. I'll paint, I'll wallpaper. And it's just natural that I come from a line of creatives. And again, with the fashion thing, making doll clothes and making my first dress in 8th grade, and also making throw pillows for my bed. That was interior design right there, but I was doing refresh on my room too when I was making those throw pillows, you see. And so I was inspired by my mom. And of course, she said when Grandpapa's eyes start to fail, he would tell her, get a pen and get a pencil and pad, make a line here, move over 6 inches. He had her doing his blueprints. When his eyesight started to fail.
Blueprints.
Yes. And he's getting ready to build something. His eyes were starting to fail. And he would dictate, so to speak, to my mom how to do the blueprint for his project.
Wow. All that science. And I think that's another thing. We think design, we don't think about it in structure. Designers do. They always talk about structure and numbers. When you see the project runways and what have you.
Yes.
They really talk about the methodology before you actually get the show of the clothing, right?
Yes.
And your mother was entrenched in it in many ways with her father being who he was.
Yes.
And she was blueprinting. So do you have any pictures? What happened with all your mom stuff?
There was a picture of Mom in the video I sent you, and she was dressed from head to toe. Yeah. So I inherited some of her things. I couldn't keep, I had so many of my own things. I couldn't keep everything. But what I could keep of hers, I have a couple of pieces, furniture wise. Not furniture, I have a pedestal. I have an outfit or so that I kept that, I could fit her clothes. We were the same size up until she passed away.
You definitely got a lot of style.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
You are just, look. I think that if I came there, I would sit back and feel like I was in one of the grandest rooms in the world because it's styled so beautifully. I love the wallpaper and the art that's sitting there. And then you got these 3 dimensions with the flowers. You got the, you know, everything. It's really beautiful. And then this beautiful coat that you're wearing. I want that right now.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Well, I think I'd have to come down a few sizes still to get into that. And
well,
look, there's a few people are chiming in, so let's just see. We got Donna Murray here this morning. Good morning, Donna. She's a beautiful sister and an interior designer as well. And she says, good morning, Senabella. Yes, we have to be fully present. Different rooms require different facets of ourselves. Speaking to you. And then Sherry Lynn says, wow, thanks for putting in these shots. I get it. Love seeing her artistic use of visual and texture replacement. Fashion has been an extension of breath for me for almost 60 years. So you bringing the people in.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And then Ramona Clater Majid is here. She says, love this show, sis. I love it too, Ramona. Just seeing you guys here and having another kind of conversation is great. And she says, my great uncle Judge C. Spears self-taught brick masons in Atlanta and Decatur, Georgia. And so you see,
that's
this
wonderful.
conversation is stimulating a lot of people's memories and make them think and try to just celebrate more out visually and out vocally. We have to talk about our ancestors, what it is we are, what we've been made of, right? We want people to know that I'm not just this person. When you say hello to Senabella, you're speaking to a whole lot of people, right? We are the post for many, many things, right?
We stand on our ancestors' shoulders. And I love the quote by Maya Angelou. She said, when I enter a room, I enter with thousands. In other words, she's taking her ancestors with her that paved the way. And so the young woman that mentioned that her uncle was self-taught brick mason. My grandpapa, he didn't go to school for architect, but he could do blueprints and build a structure. And he wasn't educated by this system. He was an apprentice from the time he was 16 to another architect or someone who could build and do blueprints too. So that was how it was passed down. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we have to own all of that. And we can't afford to lose that, especially at a time when people are trying to diminish us and squash our history. We're going to say it loud, black and proud, like James Brown said. And we're proud of our legacy that our ancestors left us.
Yes. And we only find pride in it if we speak of it. That's another thing. It's one thing for you to know you have family members who are, or family ancestors, living people who are doing things, but there's no real pride in it if you're not speaking on it. You got to celebrate it. You have to put it out there. You have to give your family a lift.
Yes.
And when you give them a lift, it gives you a lift because people then begin to feel like you're structured. They know who you are. And the business that you're in, it's all about structure. You're in design, you're into real estate, you're an author. Everything is about defining yourself, making sure people know you. But by sharing about your mother and your grandfather and perhaps others, it helps to define who you are in a broader sense and gives people a sense of calm when they're around you.
Right.
And
we need to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you bring the excitement down and you bring it into the room where it's even, where people now are not just celebrating you for being known, but they celebrate and they pray for you because of what you're doing so you can keep moving, going, doing it.
I agree 100%. Mm-hmm. And we have to continue to pass that down to our children and our grandchildren, because sometimes we take it for granted what we know and what we do. And you can tell a story about, like I'm telling a story about my grandfather. I said, have I shared that story with my children or my grands? Mm-hmm. I have to make a note that they know that, you know, this is your legacy. This is what you come from. You know, my grandson, his name is David. And my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, his name was Dave. And I said, your name, your mom allowed me to name you, and your name is inspired by Granddaddy Dave. And even though we named you David. And he said, oh, Grandma, he didn't know that. And so that's important to pass that on. And then I showed him a picture of my granddaddy. Ooh, he was a sharp dresser.
I know
that. And he had a reputation. They say he wouldn't wear the same suit twice, in that if he wore a suit, it'd have to go to the cleaners after wearing it once, because his suit has to be crisp and the, you know, clean and fresh.
A bit of a dandy, huh?
Yes, yes. We just saw that. We just saw
Yes,
that.
that's what I'm saying. He was a bit of a dandy.
He was sharp. Ooh, he was
Yes.
yes.
You know, I find interesting about the whole Met Gala with the dandy representation of Black fashion, Black art, men specifically, and
Yes.
women coming and celebrating that with them, with the distinctive measures of those designs in their clothes in that celebration. And you know what? We like to put tags on people, but the truth is that there is a great deal of fashion in Black design, in Black male.
Oh, yes.
And
I agree.
our men would excite us and still do when they show up looking, you know, special like that.
Someone put it this way. They said, a man dressed in that dapper style, that dandy style, that's to women, that's like they see us in some lingerie and get excited. We see them in head to toe sharp and looking good and smelling good. That's almost like our form of lingerie for a man. You know what I mean? That say, ooh, look at that well-dressed, good smelling man, you know.
Zimra is here today, a phenomenal vocalist, and she's a dear friend as well. She says, our talent is just so phenomenal. And when God gives you the gift and the drive, it's pure blessing.
I agree.
Blessing. Yes. And then Sherry comes back in to say, just thought of my dad. He loved his, what is it? Was it
clothes?
His clothes? It might be, yeah.
Okay.
And you know, I'm so thankful. My cousins, I told you, when I'm online, my family is here. Here's Pam.
That's wonderful.
This good morning, cousin. And then my nephew, Marcus. And we talk about people doing things and celebrating. My nephew, Marcus, is stopped for a moment to come in and says Grand Rising. He's developing business here. He and his mom, my sister-in-law, does some clean here in Woodlawn and erecting new and doing workforce development. So we got to talk about our family.
Yes, absolutely.
This show is for all family. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And then Vieta Robinson. Hi, Vieta. Thank you for coming. It's good morning. Good morning. Don't forget you all leave those emails in the inbox so I can send you that free song of Good to Be Alive. Our oral history telling has become even more important today because books are disappearing.
Yes.
Enjoying this storytelling. Our youth need to hear more of this. And that's what I want to say to more, Vieta. We have to take every opportunity to wedge in, to get it in, to tell our children the stories of their lives. Who are their ancestors? You know that most children don't know their great-grandmother's names. They don't know their grandmother's names. In some cases, don't know their father's family's names or their mother's. So we have a lot of oral history we have to get to. And let me just say this. My niece, Chandra Gill, Dr. Chandra Gill, is the one who hit me with that years ago as she came into her PhD. She did a special class over at Malcolm X talking about asking us how many people can sit down and write 3 generations of their family's names down.
You know what? I just had a conversation with my niece, who is my sister's older than I. Of the 2 sisters, it's 2 girls and 6 boys, as my siblings go. And so her daughter, I'm only 12 years older than her daughter. My niece Tracy, who is a PhD and a principal at a school. So she and I were talking yesterday, and I said, "Did you know that mother's grandmother, Harriet, was a Cherokee? And on Dad's side, did you know his grandmother was Choctaw?" So the Native American in our family is embrace that, because what does that mean? That means that our ancestors were in this land before Columbus, quote unquote, discovered it, and they were not enslaved. So our history did not start with slavery.
That's right.
Many of us, most of us, have Native American great grandparents, and our children need to know that. The thing that they were taught in school, well, we were enslaved. No, we had ancestors that were not enslaved, and they were living here freely before they were discovered by others. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's important to pass on to them.
I think I'm going to say this, Black Americans, African Americans, however we deem to be called ourselves, we have to get used to this great grand idea that we're here in this geographical territory. And it's up to us to make sure that we push out, that we build up, and we expand in who we are in this place where we
That's
are
right.
right now, and not
Right.
to be so caught up in what it is that we have lineage of, but to create the conversations that help us to continue to know and understand and explore our history, but to create the history that makes us important to ourselves. Because right now we find ourselves in many kind of difficult conversations about our, people going back to Africa and not feeling welcome, or people moving to other places and we're being kicked out of places. Well, find stability right here where you are, build, grow. We have a phenomenal past, but we have a phenomenal future, and our present.
Absolutely. I agree.
Let me say this, you're doing it. You got books that you've written. I want us to talk about that. I want you to get into that. But before we get back into that, I'm going to take a break real quick, and I'm going to pay homage to what it is that we're here to do. I don't want to live in regret. So let me just get to that, and we'll be right back. Everybody stay with us. I'm going to come back and share some of the comments that everyone's made with you, Deb.
Okay.
Isn't she gorgeous? Design your life.
Thank you. Thank you, beautiful.
So creative. We'll be right back. Wow. And I just want to say this because it's so important to say it. But what we just saw is exactly what we're speaking of. Each and every one of us has a story. And the Soulful Chicago Book Fair that Asada, our beautiful Asada, has done, it has raised the level of the importance of storytelling. And every one of us are finding ways to tell stories. You're telling stories through clothing, through fashion, through design, right? And through real estate. Right. All of these are important issues because real estate is another big important aspect of what's going on with us right now too, right?
That's right.
So either selling their homes or they're trying to buy property. Can we touch on a little of that? But before we go to that, let me go back to this. It's all about lifestyle.
Yes. So I was doing, as a designer, I would do image for my clients. I would do wardrobes for people, a basic wardrobe, build a basic wardrobe. And that evolved into image workshops. And so, as you know, when you're doing a workshop, you have to have materials. So my materials that I would pass out, I would gather information and pass out for my image workshops on how to do this as far as your image is concerned, how to enhance your space. And that evolved into the book. And so it was Design Your Life from the Inside Out. And when I say inside out, that means you're not just putting clothes on to look pretty and be all dressed up and know where to go. To have a foundation, in my case, I have a spiritual foundation. And so I deal with myself from the inside. Who am I? I have values that my parents have passed down, grandparents, as we were just talking about, legacy. And so those values is what my life is built on. The spiritual, my faith is what it's built on. So yeah, from the inside out, first of all, knowing who I am, and the clearer I am about who I am, then I can dress it up. That's the icing on the cake, but that's not the cake itself, what you wear. So that's the icing on the cake. That's the outside. But I always encourage my clients, be clear on the inside. And I never tell anybody what that should be or what that looks like, because that's very personal to them. But yeah, and I say it's all about lifestyle is my tagline and has been for over 20 years. And it's saying that the lifestyle you choose to live for you, again, knowing who you are. And it's not saying go wear designer clothes, even though you can buy my clothes if you want. This is my signature shirt here. And people still ask for this shirt. I get a lot of requests for.
I'm sorry, we got to go back to that. I need to, wait a minute. How do we do this? Let's, girl, this is your signature shirt?
That's my signature shirt. And you can see it's all in. Actually, I'm wearing the one at the top. That's me.
I love that shirt.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It comes in silk. The main model, she's got silk chiffon. It comes in white. Like this time of year, people ask me, could you do me one in white linen or white cotton? A crisp white shirt always is a staple in a wardrobe. And I've had people with little fuller figures. They say, I don't want mine to tie at the waist. I love the sleeves. I love the collar and the cuffs, but I want mine to be more like a tunic. I've done it that way. So I tailor it to fit the client. And so it can be short, it can be tied at the waist, high-rise waist, or I'll change the body a little bit for the particular client. But people still request it. Yeah.
Ramona say, shoot, that's jazzy. And I know.
Thank you, Ramona.
Chime in. She says, beautiful and classic. I do. I knew she was.
Thank you, Natalie. Yes. Thank you, fellow flight attendant.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But let me just say that I really love this top too. Look, that red right there.
Yes.
Fall back like that. I love it because as a full-figured woman, it really works well with our bodies.
Yes.
You can put it on and you don't feel that the shirt is either going to go down too much and make your bump look more if you have a stomach, or your back look bigger if you have a backside.
Yes.
Yeah, it is beautiful and classic, and I do adore it too. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Sherry says it's exquisite. It really.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, queens. I appreciate that.
I have to put you all together. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for all of this conversation. And she says, I'm in love with that black chiffon. Natalie is really getting it in. I think.
Okay, Natalie.
Y'all might have to hook up afterwards for this.
Let me know when you're ready.
So let's keep moving because, I want to try and get in as much as get. Oh, Naima's in now. She says she loves style. Now we know all these are chicks that are tall with nice frames and stuff, and all these sisters are gonna wear this out. She tells us again the website where we can place our orders. You want to know? Well, I tell you right now. Go ahead.
Have them to direct message me on Facebook with their email.
In Messenger?
Yeah, email or phone number, and I will follow up. Just let me know that they saw it on your show. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to offer them, a discount because they found me on your show. And these are your people. This is your tribe. And so, yeah, we take care of one another.
Look, people are like, I'll take one for sure. So let's get one of the things that I love that's going on here in Chicago. It is Sharp Zimra, isn't it? Now, this is like Zimra, definitely.
Okay.
All the sisters here know how to dress. I don't know. I can't really say not one of these people showing, including my nephew Marcus, who is a fashionista. His doggone self.
He's one of those dandies, like I said, my grandfather was.
Themselves fashionistas, but yeah.
They call themselves dapper. They were dapper.
Yes. I love seeing people put their full dress on and go out and do their thing. And I think that's one of the things that attracted me to I'm just going to start showing a few of your pictures because you're just so beautiful.
Thank you.
So photogenic. And you've done.
Thank you, Senabella.
Right there. Oh my God, she is killing it right there. You're killing it.
Thank you.
I know they were like, excuse us, do you need somebody to help you cross the street? Yeah, I love it when women celebrate themselves, when they live their lives fully, when they allow us to grasp a glimpse of that glow.
Yes.
It makes you shine from inside out. And it shows here, Deb. You're shining from inside out. You're really letting us have all of you, and you're showing your expression. you know.
Thank you.
But I think what I've learned about you here today is really most fascinating is the lineage of your family, the things that your family have inspired and brought you into. What would you say to other young women who are aspiring, or young people who are aspiring to enter within the field of what you're doing? What are some of those words that you share with them?
Well, I would say, as I said in my book, From the Inside Out, like you just mentioned, from the inside out, is just be true to yourself. I raised my children with one quote that I would say, to yourself be true, and you can be false to no one. In other words, when you find your authentic self, and we have talked about that, and you know that this is me, and be bold enough and courageous enough to be yourself unapologetically, and you go from there. And then the things that draw you, excite you, bring out the passion in you, those are the things you pursue. And so if you have a certain way you like to dress, then dress. As I told you, my grandfather was not formally trained. He was an apprentice under another contractor builder, but he didn't go to school for it. Some people have natural talent, and you lean into that. You don't have to have a degree in anything. Now, I'm not discouraging anyone from going to school. I did go to school, and I do have a degree. I went to Columbia College here in Chicago, but it's not necessary. I'm going to be quite honest. It's not necessary to have a degree, because we can look around and see people who are successful in what they do. They just followed their passion. And that's a big part of it. And be unapologetically you. Dress like you want to dress. And, in your case, a gorgeous voice. You want to sing, you're a singer, sing. You're a writer, write. And do that. And build that muscle of that thing that you're interested in.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm encouraged by constantly being around other creatives is to continue to, one, celebrate those that are doing it, but also continue to celebrate the new ideas that I come up with, things that I want to do. I'm always looking to expand more creatively, in a more sophisticated way, in a more caring and giving way. Creation can be very selfish sometimes.
Yes.
And so I've learned how to expand, well, I shouldn't say expand, but to become more fulfilling, not to just myself, but to others through the things that I do. And I've always been a giver, but I didn't know how to give, because you can go in a room and fulfill your giving by serving yourself, and people will think that it's for them. But the truth is that as I've grown, I've learned how to give, how to build and establish things. And not so much about me, but about the people that are in the room that I'm providing the giving to.
Yeah. And you giving from a full cup. And because you are in tune with yourself, then you have more to give. Because if you skipped over yourself and tried to give to people from an empty cup, that's not possible.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So you being unapologetically you, and using your gift and doing what you love, then you have it flows over. Someone says your cup half empty or half full. I say my cup runneth over. As the scripture says, my cup runneth over. It's not half empty or half full. It's overflowing, because I'm unapologetically me. I learned this. I didn't have it all. Well, I'm not going to say I didn't have it as a child, because sometimes we have it as a child. The courage to be ourselves. And then we're taught not to, when we go through the school system, sit down and be quiet. A child is to be seen and not heard. And then we have to find our way back to our authentic self and know that it's okay to be me, because God made me uniquely. And I can step into my full legacy that was passed down to me from my ancestors. And that knowing that, as far as I feel spiritually, God made me uniquely, and so I'm unapologetically who I am. And I can give from that full cup, you see.
Well, you're speaking of education, right? You're speaking
Yes.
of education. And one of the things that's happening right now, and I'm not going to say I'm totally against it, is that they're changing the educational system. They're looking to break it down, change it. And I think that systems are important. First of all, let me say that I appreciate and value that. But I also think the system of homeschooling is important. I think it's important for our children to not learn only from what there is in the classroom, but to have a home where they're learning. And
I believe that too. I agree.
One of the things that I strongly understand and recall of my parents is that my mother, she very, very much was involved in teaching us and training us at home. And I think those are some core values that we can get back to. We have to talk about, if, you know, they talk about prayers in school, but if you don't see prayer at home, how are you going to pray? And you can learn it in school and it could have some impact on you. But if you get it out of your household, that's another thing. Then if you learn to speak well, how to sit, dress, talk, walk, how to greet and encounter people at home, then you'll have more compassion for people when you're out in the street. Because
That's true.
now, that's the problem we're having, is that our society is dumbed down with all this individualism, with all this here sort of, I'm just going to take care of me and I'm looking out for me. I'm not saving anything for anything but for me. And so I think that education does start right at home and in our communities. And I would like to see more of our communities as well as our individual households take up the representation of what our parents provided for me, because my cousin Natalie is here. And her mom, my auntie, now, you know, like she was that mother, right? She planted her food. She cooked her food. She came straight about the South, right? The migration here to Chicago. And she brought those customs and those details with us. And you can go to her house today in her 90s. She's still growing her food, cooking her food, you know? And so
Yes.
imagine how that has impacted her children.
Yeah.
And all of them are cooks. All of them are fashionistas. All of them are that. And I think that's what the takeaway is when we stop and think about, is it so terrible to think about our job, not just going to work to make money, but to come home and to make sure that money can be useful, right?
I agree. 100%. Yes.
I'm tired of our children being blamed for the problems that we have created by not doing certain things.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Senabella. I agree with you. And it's a wonderful thing that they homeschooled and that your aunt grew her food. We got to get back to that, because we don't know what's in this food and we don't know what people are teaching our children or doing to them. So let's get back to that legacy that we talked about earlier, those traditions that our parents passed down.
Well, you know, my nephew calls it cultural pedagogy.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Marcus says that. Yes.
That's great, Marcus.
Yeah. Yes. And she insisted to cook yesterday at 96. This is her mom. So here we are coming up on Mother's Day, you know, and we should really have what we call a Parents' Day.
Yes.
We should have a collective day for parents. So we don't have to say, well, when is the Father's Day? We should say we should
Family Day. Yeah. Yes.
We should have these things. We don't need nobody to come and tell us to do it. Everyone needs to take it upon themselves to have Family Day, to have Family Day, Parents' Day, you know, the day when people are celebrating Community Day. We need all the unity that we can maintain to get things up. Wow. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. We just need to get at it. We need to get at it. We cannot waste our time anymore. In fact, we've got so much time in front of us with all this stuff going on. We want to divert your attention, put it somewhere in a lane that it matters.
Yes. And I love what you said about family and being a realtor. I encourage people, get a multi-family unit, you know, build wealth and pass it on. And you got one family member over here renting, one over here renting, one's paying $1,200, one's paying. Do you know what size property you could have if we got a multi-family 3 or 4 unit building? And then you got your grandmother there that's cooking and teaching the young people how to grow their own food and saving money and building legacy and pass it on. We've got to do this for ourselves, because nobody's going to do it for us. You know, it's up to us.
That's right. I went to a meeting with Trash Talk, which is an organization that is set up, just this nonprofit set up to go around and to encourage people to take these long sticks that you used to pick up and clean up your neighborhood.
Yes.
And I'm like, how absolutely important is that? If trash is not my biggest thing that when I leave out, I hate it when I drove behind somebody and they were throwing trash out the car. Every time they did it, I just wanted to back to the back of the car. You know? Yeah. She said it's about time this current school system is redesigned, because our children are simply being trained to be bots in the future, the Higher Learning Network TV show. Let me say that if we get to if we get to wanting to love what we have, where we are, and not so hard we're fighting so hard to move away, to get away, to be out of this sort of unhappiness. But the zest in life is when there's stability. When I walk out my door and I used to see elderly picking up trash around cars and stuff, I grew up to be the same person.
Yes.
But I can't clean up I'm not gonna be able to clean up the whole neighborhood.
That's
but
right.
If everybody takes time to not throw their garbage out the car, to empty trash when they see it. You know what I'm saying? We can do that. There's no shame in being humble enough to say that I want my environment to be clean.
That's right.
I take time and talk to the young kids when I see them emptying the garbage. Come on, baby, let me show you how to do that.
That's right.
Put the bag down in the garbage. Make sure you call. And they like it. And when they say, hey, Miss Bella, because I'm engaging with them in conversation and I'm showing them through a voice that I care about them. And I'll say things to them like, hey, I see you trying to get, would you eating a lot of food or you stop eating food because you're looking good. You know, I encourage, oh, you're so strong, encourage them with kind words and celebrate ourselves and our family and our neighborhoods. Let's treat each other with the respect and the love and the real glamour that sets us aside.
Yes.
You're about that glamour, Deb.
We have a rich legacy. We have a very rich legacy. How you shared about your grandmother and your aunt, those queens, we can't let their legacy die. Let the young people know, let the grands and the great grands know where they come from. And they have a legacy to uphold and to stand in and walk in. When
I tell you, people are like, look, me too, cousin, my pet peeve, talking about that litter thing. Fine when caught on camera throwing trash out the car. Littering breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Spitting on the street wigs me out. Generational behaviors. We have to teach love and respect. Self-love is the respect.
Self-respect.
You love yourself. You're not going to want to walk through no trash. You're not going to want to keep your mouth shut and act like it doesn't. You're not going to be afraid of the kids actually, our children are actually doing better. I'm just going to say, I can speak to more kids today than I could 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always said something to children. We have to change it. Generational behaviors are important in terms of sharing how our societies are built.
And you just said a mouthful when you said self-love is important. Self-love is the foundation for anything else you're going to build. You cannot skip over yourself and love other people. I don't care what you say. I've heard people say, I love such and such more than I love myself. That's an impossibility because charity starts at home, and charity is another word for love. You must love yourself before you can love anyone else. And then you teach the children to love themselves. And the young men will pull up their pants and you'll let them know you didn't start in slavery. You didn't start making the mistake that landed you in juvenile or in jail. And you have dignity. That's what I like about this dandy thing that we showed, how the previous generations had dignity and respect, self-respect and self-love. Regardless of what someone tried to define them, they define themselves for themselves. And that's what we have to do and teach our young people to do.
Well, I just want to take a minute and say there was a comment here that really spoke to me today. And I want to put this in. It says, good morning. So yes, we have to be fully present, and different rooms require different facets of ourselves. And when we live understanding that we can be as dandy as we'd like to be,
yes,
or as in the background as we wish to be, and still be present. Right? That's right. Because it is going to require the whole of us in order to become what we need. Thank you so much, Debra, for being here today. You are a joy.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'm going to have a show of designers and interior designers come into the room. I love you guys. Thank you so much for showing up here with Coffee Break with Senabella and the beautiful Debra Davis of Define Your Life. I hate to shut down, but we got to go. And I want you to know that I love you. Happy Mother's Day to all. And God bless you in all things that you do going forward. I'll see you next Friday, Coffee Breakers. I'll see you back here, Debra Davis.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Design your life.
Design your life. It's all about lifestyle.
Yes, it is. It is all about lifestyle. So let's go.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessing.